All right, so in this video, we're going to use Excel to do some basic descriptive statistics. So what we have here is our game data Excel spreadsheet that we created in the previous video. And what we're going to do is we want to understand, better understand the data, particularly the attendance and the score differential fields. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some basic statistical calculations to better understand those two fields. So a good practice here is to keep your data separated from your analysis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click down here at the bottom. I'm going to click on New Sheet. And so this will give me a blank sheet as part of my Excel workbook. If I double click on Sheet 1, I can rename this sheet. I'm going to call this Analysis. So we have our game log data on one tab and our analysis on the other tab or other sheet. Hit Enter, and I renamed this. So now we have a starting point where we're going to place our descriptive statistics. So what we want to do is we want to go to game log, and we're going to want to take a look at all the data for attendance, and we're going to calculate the minimum value, the maximum value, the mean, and the median for the attendance for games from 1990 to 2019. So I'm going to then go back to our analysis tab, and let's set up some headings here first. So what we're going to do for I think we'll do it this way. We're going to want to calculate both attendance and score differential. So in the first row, this will be our attendance data. And it's a little too narrow, so I'm going to left click and drag this over to make that a little bit bigger. And we're going to be calculating the min value, the max value. We're also going to be calculating the mean, and finally the median. So those are the four values we're going to be collecting for attendance. And actually, I probably should put attendance in the next row down. So I'm going to just select that, put my cursor over that to get those four arrows, and then just drag it down, and that's just going to move it down. And then below that, I'm also going to be calculating the min, max, mean, and median for the score differential as well. And again, I need to make that column wider, so this time I'm going to double click. There we go, now my column's wider. And let's format this a little bit. Control B will make those bold, and I'll do the same thing over here. Control B makes these bold. All right, so what I need to do is I'm going to begin by the min value. So if with this cell selected, because I want to put the min value for attendance right here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be calculating this across tabs. So we're going to be placing the value in the analysis tab, but all the data that we're going to be using the analysis on or doing the calculation on is in the game log tab. So we can simply do this by interacting with a spreadsheet. So again, begin with an equal sign because that's going to be indicating a formula. And to calculate the minimum value, the Excel function is min, and then left parentheses. So now what we need to do is we need to tell Excel what range of data do we want to use in our min calculation. So to do that, with that function halfway created, I'm going to click on the game log. Click on game log, and then I'm going to start with cell A2 with my first data point. And with that selected, now what I'm going to do is hold down my control key and hit the down arrow, and that will bring us to the end. But notice up at the top, by doing that, it's not selecting all the data. So I'm going to hit control up arrow again, and then go back down one. So we're going to start with F2. Now what I need to do is not just the control down arrow, but hold down both control and shift, and now hit the down arrow. And that's going to select everything in between, not just move us down to the bottom, but select all the rows in between. And you can see this up at the function. I have game log, so we're moving to the game log tab, rows F2 to F7183. 7183. So that's correct. Now what I want to do is at the end of that function, I'm going to hit the right parentheses and then hit enter. All right, so then that means the minimum value is 0. So let's read this function. So what we're doing is here was we are calculating the minimum value from the game log tab. So that's what that exclamation point means. So game log tab. And then we are selecting, doing the minimum on row or cell F2 all the way through F7183. So what we can do is we can actually, rather than having to repeat the same process for the max value, the mean value, and the median value, if I do this, I'm going to put dollar signs. So dollar signs means the absolute values or absolute reference points. So let me show you. If I don't do that, I'm going to hit escape. Now if I drag this over, just simply drag this over to copy that formula over. I can do that, and I'm going to calculate the mean for each one. But notice what happens is rather than calculating on the F column, it's actually moving over. Since I moved it over one, it's using a relative reference, and now it's looking at the G column and the H column and the I column. I really want to calculate the F column. So what I need to do is put a dollar sign before each of the F's so that when I copy it, it's not going to change that F column to G, H, or I. It's going to hold that reference to the F column. So if I put a dollar sign before the F in F2 and before the F in the F7183, I can hit enter. So I updated that. I still have the same value. Now when I drag this over, I can see that I'm getting the same reference point all the way through. That formula is not changing. Now, again, I'm only calculating the minimum at this point. So what I need to do then for each of these functions, for each of these calculations, I need to change the function. So for min, I'm going to change this to max and hit enter. And now for mean, in Excel, there's not a mean function. We just call it average. Average. So average, hit enter. And then finally, for the median value, I can do median and hit enter. Oops, I need to type it in. So median and hit enter. All right, so now I have the median, mean, max, and min values for the same attendance data. So this shows that the median and the median value and the mean are relatively close together. So that would indicate that my data is somewhat normal, a normal distribution of attendance values over the 20 seasons. So what I want to do next is do the same thing for score differential. So what I could do here is take a look at my game log and see that score differential. I'm going to go Control up arrow to get to the top, and score differential is going to be column K. So without having to again to do my mouse to calculate or to select the data, I can simply take this min value and bring that down. And actually, if I bring this down, watch what happens. So it's gonna. I had the dollar sign in my original formula here. So when I bring this down, it's going to still look at the F value. But as I bring it down, it's going to move from F2 to F3. So that's not really what I wanted to do. So what I need to do then is put a dollar sign between my F2 value, or my 2, and then my 7183. So now what it's going to do is it's going to hold both the column steady as well as the row selection steady. So now when I bring this down, drag this down here, now I have the same F2 to F7183. All right, but what I want to do is I don't want to calculate the F column. I want to change that value to K. I want to calculate K2 through K7183. Hit enter. All right, so now I have my value for the score differential for the minimum value. So that means what we're seeing here is that the lowest score differential is that the home team lost by 27 points. That would have been an interesting game to go to. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to drag this over here. And I don't have to, since I'm using a dollar sign before the column and the row number, when I drag this over, I don't have to make any adjustments. All I have to do is just change the function. So this time I'm calculating the max value. Next, I'm going to calculate the average. I need to spell it correctly. And then finally, median. Oops, I forgot. Pardon me here. Let me try this again. Median. All right. So the median value, the average, the max, and so the median value, that value in the middle is 1. It's probably not surprising. It should be close to 0. And the mean is a 0.1. So that's slightly different. That means that our data is going to be slightly skewed to the right. So that means more often the home team is winning than the visiting team. So it'd be interesting when we see a frequency distribution, what that looks like. So what we have here are some basic descriptive statistics of our attendance value and our score differential using our game log data. And we did this across 2 tabs using the base functionality in Excel.